Okay, so we're going to take a look at building off a game that we were working with previously, where we had this kind of our target flying back and forth, and we could shoot at the bullet, shoot at the target, and hit it, and we get some points that way. I want to kind of take this idea and develop just a little bit further, or show some additional things you could do. I might make a couple different videos based off this, but one thing here might be that we could change the brightness of the enemy. So, because it's kind of hard when we do this, especially if my dot's kind of next to the target, sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the target and the enemy, and we don't have a lot of options to work with here. If we had maybe different set of code or different program we were working with, we can make an actual face there, we could change the colors, but we're kind of limited with this, so we need to be creative in other ways. And that's kind of the whole point of doing this here. So let's go into here. And what I want to do, I'm going to go into game, and I can change, we've used this one set X or change X to change the value of something, like change the X value or change the Y value. But it's also got a couple other applications that we can use. And so what I might want to do, set my target, and I can set its X value, but I can also set its brightness. Okay. So like right now, if I set it to 0, so brightness is a value between 0 and 255. So if we choose 255, it's at its maximum brightness. If we choose 0, it actually won't appear on the screen at all, even though it's actually there, because it has no brightness, so it's not showing up. So if we set somewhere in the middle, say 130 or 120, 230 here, what we can see is that our dot is there, and now it's a different color. So this might be useful. In this game, it maybe isn't so useful because we have our bullets in one place and we have our hero in the other, or like our enemy in the other, so it's not really interacting as much. But if you had like a bad guy chasing the hero, or I think I showed that in a different video, or if for some reason you want to distinguish between these two, brightness could be a good way of doing that. Another thing that we could do, so I talked about this with a student, like you could do something like, say we need to, okay, I mean, just as a game idea here, we could start out with our target being how about starting out very bright, and then every time we shoot it, it's going to decrease its brightness by a little bit, and then the game is over once the target runs out of brightness. Something like that. I mean, that's a game right there. Or we could do something, maybe it's like powering up, you know, as the enemy's moving across. Every time it hits the edge, it's going to get a little bit brighter, and then if it ever gets to maximum brightness, then the game is going to be over. And so, like, shooting it will decrease the brightness. There's a little game right there, right? As it goes across, it's going to gain brightness. So you're trying to constantly shoot it to decrease its brightness. It's kind of a battle between those two things. So yeah, so I mean, we could do things in that, like in here. If we go into our forever thing, how about I could do, if I shoot it, I'm going to change the brightness. So we could go into change. Actually, I want to show something else too. If the bullet's touching the target, then we want to, we're talking about the target, and we want to change. And then we've used changing X, we've used changing Y. We can also do change brightness, and we're going to do by like -50, say. So now if we run back to this, and let me start with a full brightness object, 255 on here. Okay, so object will be fully bright. And then as we go across, we can shoot it. It's going to hit that. Look, see, it's getting a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. I think if we shoot it enough time, it's just going to fade away. Oh, missed it. And so, like in here, would not be very much. Oh, look, I shot it so much it disappeared. It's actually still there, moving back and forth. It just has no brightness. So there's a lot of stuff that we could do in here. There's a lot of kind of variations we could do with this. A quick other thing that we can do, I want to kind of make a few short ones here. We could also change its, instead of brightness, we could change its blink. So blink is a value between, I can't remember, you have to check the help to see the exact, I can't remember if you set it, if you've set it low, I think it blinks quite fast. Yeah. So you can just mess around with this to get your thing to blink. And the whole goal of this is that you have a different way of like changing the appearance. See, look, I think if the numbers get smaller, it blinks more frequently. I'm not sure about that. But the whole goal of this is to differentiate different dots on the screen, because we don't have a way of like showing different characters or changing the color. So this is our kind of our other option for that. So I hope that's kind of helpful. Hopefully that's something you can incorporate in your game.